All right, so um, I finished my previous video. I got distracted and turned it off. So I'm continuing now. I still have a little bit of time to spend on this because I wanted to demonstrate and try out the 3D feature to sort of improve the hand poses and possibly even the feet. Before I move on from my pencil into something a little more finished. I don't know if I will do the finish and the inking in this video, but I really want to get the 3D going. I, um, I've worked a little bit since my previous video on adding some detail and a little bit of shading to my pencils. So my next step is that I'm going to actually turn this layer to blue line so I can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Sorry. All right, so let's go with the 3D. I'm going to just use a default 3D character, which I am going to drag from the material menu into my canvas. So it's just loading. And I'm going to reduce this a little bit so it's easier to manipulate. I am not trying to get the whole body posed. Basically, with this tool, you can use inverse kinematics to drag. It should be able to work. Yeah, to drag both body parts, and he sort of tries to guess how the rest of the body gets manipulated depending on how you move your effector. This is not what I'm going to do here. First off, I'm going to try to get the shoulder line and the arms right. I don't really care about the legs and feet right now because I can do multiple layers with multiple 3D characters, so it doesn't really matter. This menu here allows some manipulation. You can manipulate the camera here, and with that little box object, you can actually manipulate, do the same thing, but on the objects and not on the camera. I also have a bunch of tool properties that are linked to the 3D, so we're probably going to have to go through some of that stuff anyway, so I'm not going to waste time on this right now. All right, so let's, first off, I'm just going to use this icon just to get a 3D view that for me is a little bit better to understand the space on the model. I am going to try and rotate the arms forward as much as I can. Since it's a realistic model, it has, and this is also a reason why I'm not really trying to use the whole body for my model, is that I hold on. It's hard to do 3D and talk at the same time, unfortunately. It's because the model has constraints. So basically what happens is that it would not let you do some extreme motion. That makes sense. So when you have something that's kind of cartoony or extreme, well, basically your character is not really able to distort as far as your drawing is calling for. So you have to cheat a little bit. So what I'm doing, basically, I'm using the the shoulders and upper arms to sort of get the general pose that I need. Again, for the arms, I'm not worried about the head. I'm not worried about the shoulders or anything. So okay, so I have pretty much both arms going right now. One arm is going up more than the other. It again might not work, and I might have to actually use two different models, one for each hand. But it's cool. It's so now what I'm doing. I'm trying to modify my plane, my point of view, so I can sort of match the camera and the pose on my drawing. It doesn't have to be absolute exact science, but this works. So one issue I'm noticing now is that I'm hiding my lines, so I'm just going to move the 3D layer under the blue line layer, and also the blue is not working, so I'm going to use a different color that maybe I will be able to read a little better, maybe something in the warm tones, purple, maybe, yeah, see, that works, yeah, it's easier for me. Uh, and going back, selecting my model again. I have to be on the actual 3D layer. And I'm selecting my model again. I'm doing a little bit more fiddling with the perspective. It is tedious. That's also one reason why again, it's only one of the reasons why I'm not really using 3D that much. It's, well, because if you want something perfect, it takes time. It takes more time actually than sometimes that just drawing. And also as I am doing my sketch, what happens is that I am not. God, I'm terrible at this. I apologize. Talking and thinking at the same time. It's sometimes difficult for depending on what you do. Uh, Sometimes, yeah, it takes time, and you don't necessarily get a really good result. It can be a little stiff. So what I'm really interested in is sort of trying to get into a pose that matches just parts of my drawing, and I'm going to refine. Okay, so that's a little issue here is that when you use the scroll wheel and you're outside the 3D mode, it's used to zoom in and out of your model. Uh, but when you're in 3D, it actually applies, it's used to apply rotations with a little bit more precision than when you do it just with the mouse or the stylus. So that's actually a little bit annoying. So you have to actually go into your zoom, and you have to. Okay, so where am I right now? Okay, so basically, what happens is that my wrist should be a little bit higher. Yeah, something like that. I don't really care about the arms, so that's fine if it doesn't really match. And I'm just going to try and rotate my hands, so I'm pretty much where I want to be. It's cool though. The manipulation is very easy. It doesn't look it necessarily. And of course, now I'm in situation where I don't have enough exaggeration, foreshortening of the perspective. So that now might be a good time to try to tweak the perspective a little bit. Okay. So I have two options here. One of the options is that I can, sorry, it's really difficult to think and talk at the same time when you do any 3D work. It's basically you can get closer to your object, so you would do it like this. It doesn't really do much here. Another option is to move your object closer to the camera. But in this case, I think that probably I need to increase my perspective a little bit to have a little bit more exaggeration. And then move my camera back down so my wrist is matching the drawing. That makes sense. And now I'm going back to my pencil layer because it's kind of difficult to see exactly where I am. So, because I've been sketching so much, I'm going to add an extra layer here. I'm going to use a red color and sort of just get just my silhouette of my hand. So what I can do now is basically, after simplifying, work is going to be much better for me. I'm going back into my 3D layer. So I can find it. That is, I am going back to my editing tool here. And I'm going to pose my hands a little bit better. Okay. It's facing me a little more. It still feels a little small, but I'm going to start working on posing itself. So basically, you select, you can animate by hand, and you can select, any joints on the fingers and your hands, which is fine. Let me move it in a little bit better again. It's not super easy. That's also why I sort of stay away from it for more complex stuff. And I have a really nifty, great menu here. I have my hand selected, and you get that menu here, and the 3D drawing doll, which is called the initial pose. And basically, it allows you to control the amount of grip on the hand and on any finger separately. So I am going to actually try to see if I can see what I'm doing right now. Just going to have my hand very straight. Okay. So I'm gonna have to go back to a little bit more manipulation again. Here. Okay. It's not gonna be perfect because the reason for that is that really my drawing is far from perfect in terms of the pose itself. So, but it's close enough that I uncomfortable. So basically, what you can do now with my fingers, my character's fingers spread out, I'm going to mask some of the fingers. So basically, what's going to happen is I'm going to be able to move into this controller and actually affect only the the, the fingers that are not locked. Okay. So, for example, I'm just going to say, okay, my index finger and my middle finger are going to to stay locked, and now, okay, I'm going to try to do something with the. I'm going to try to do some sort of extreme-ish pose with the thumb. Okay, and the more I'm going to go here, the more it's going to have a grip. Okay. Going back here, it's cool because you can use like all these controls separately, which is nice. I know I'm spending way too much time on this, but hey, I'm exploring, so it's cool. I'm not especially married to a specific pose. You can also use the transform directly into the interface on each separate joint, so you also have finer control if you want to. Uh, this wheel here. Uh, and at some point, I'm going to have to give up. I'm not going to get the perfect exact pose. That was not really super important, so it's okay. I just want something that's, pretty much in the spirit of what I was trying to do. Maybe now the hand is maybe a little big, so I'm going to cheat again with the perspective. Maybe roll it back a little bit to 4, 5, maybe something like that would be cool. All right. So now what I have is I have an example of something that I can trace that will give me more realistic fingers. So I'm going to demonstrate this process and probably apply it separately on the other part before I start inking. But this is how that will work. I'm going to mask this red hand, red left hand. That's almost the song from Peaky Blinders, except that it was right hand. And I am going to probably go back to black here and select my 3D layer and make it blue. One thing that I would probably do, because I don't want to mess with this by mistake, is that I'm going to lock this layer, so I absolutely cannot edit it anymore until it is unlocked. I'm going to zoom in now a little, just enough so I can see my hand, and I am going to draw in a new layer. I could erase the existing hand right now, but I don't think that's necessary. Just going to reduce the opacity so I can see what I'm doing, and I will create a new layer. So I need to go to that new layer first. Yeah, I need to select the black color, that would be better. Oops. I have the problem here, which is that somehow I have a some rulers got activated for some reason. I don't know where they come from. Are these the rulers from? Sorry, I'm wasting time on this, but apparently it's understanding that the perspective grid in my 3D model has become a set of perspective rulers, which is great. It's a good thing to know. It's just I don't need it right now, but it's something I will make use of probably. Still activated. That's a problem. I'm going to unlock this. I'm going to hide the ruler. I'll make sure that the same thing happens here. Now it's already hidden. So let's see what happens if I draw a line now. Okay, the ruler is deactivated, so I'm good. Okay. Again, I am learning the software, so there's still a lot of things I do not know. So I'm tracing. I could just use that as a base and improvise on top of it. Now that I have a hand structure and angle that are physically sound, that makes sense. But I'm not really going to bother with this. I'm just going to mark my joints a little here. You can actually use the 3D for much more things. You can actually let your 3D model the way you like, hopefully in a way that is consistent with the scene that you are planning, which could help you figure out the shadows and the volume of your model. If you're in your drawing, that's not really what I'm trying to do now. So as you can see, my hand starts looking looking better. I'm going to make it blue. I'm going to go back into my initial pencil and just erase the old hand. Still doing a sketch, so it's not a big deal. As we look now, turning off the blue, cleaning it a little bit. Yeah, that's good enough for me as reference. And I will select both initial pencil and this pencil hand, right click and combine the layers. So basically now I have a realistic hand. Obviously you will need a little bit of work that is working with my drawing. Be a little bit, but it's cool. So you can see that despite my best effort, first off, I didn't get the exact pose I wanted because my drawing was just too exaggerated. And also that it feels a little too realistic compared to the rest of the drawing. So that means probably when I'm inking, I'm really gonna have to be very, very, very consistent with all the parts of the drawing. So it doesn't scream out so much that it's an added part. But you get criticized a lot when you do the drawing. People look often at the important parts that where they can detect, like unconsciously, very easily what is wrong. So it's helpful to be able to have a reference um, of your hands, of your feet, of the anatomy of the face. Very often it's more important than any other part in the anatomy, which is fingers are wrong, your joints are wrong, your feet are off. It's kind of, even if you're not an artist, you will notice right away that there's something a little bit fishy going on. So this can help. I just think that at any rate, it's an interesting tool to master. And uh, it is going to take too much time in recording to do all the parts. But basically, this is how you can go about doing a drawing that pretty much matches your needs in terms of the dynamics and the action, and where you can still use the Clip Studio Paint tool to sort of help yourself a little bit in terms of anatomy without going overboard, and just posing entire characters within the constraints of what the software allows you to do, and just basically you will just end up tracing things that are very, very stiff unless you have the discipline of, you know, maybe doing your posing on a separate canvas and just drawing, just looking at your separate canvas, and so you can sort of stay within a little margin of error that will make things look not too stiff, not too rotoscope, if that makes any sense. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will probably post another video pretty soon when I'm getting less sucky at it. So anyway, thank you.